Welcome everybody to a look at the second film in the Strange New World science fiction at DEFA box set, and it is 1970s Signals: A Space Adventure. So directed by Gottfried Kolditz, who I've not seen anything from before. It's a science fiction film clocking at 91 minutes long, not the reported. How long did they say it was for real on the Eureka set? 87 minutes. Not sure whether or not that's because there's a little bit at the beginning and a little bit at the end that is basically um, either talking about the transfer or just a bit of the end with the DEFA logo or whatever. But regardless, it is 91 minutes. It's not 87 as Eureka has stated. And yeah, the only person I've seen anything else from before is Yevgeny Zakharikov, who was in a supporting role in the Midnight in St. Petersburg film, which is one of the rubbish TV sequels in the Harry Palmer series starring Michael Caine. And yeah, this is about the Leica and its crew who are sent to find a lost research vessel, the Icarus. But as they draw nearer to the missing craft, they begin to intercept a series of strange radio transmissions. So, given how much I enjoyed the similar previous film, The Silent Star, I had hopes that this would at least be able to match it. But apart from the glorious sets, miniatures, and the really rather decent cast being of equal measure to the prior film in this box set, the weaker plot and ultimately lack of thematic weight to it do ultimately hamper this a great deal. The editing is also somewhat all over the place. The lack of score at times does make this feel smaller in scale than it should. And even though I didn't find it boring, there are sections that were unengaging or that just felt like filler. Like there's a beach scene right after the initial disaster that befells the Icarus, for instance, which yeah just doesn't feel like it's part of the actual film itself. Then there's an animated bit as well that just again feels like filler, even though the animation is actually fairly decently done. And yeah, there's just other bits like spacewalks and a low gravity scene where it's just between two people that I don't know what the hell was going on. It was just them floating around. So yeah, there's just a lot of filler there, to be honest. And even though I am, probably less harsh on films than other people are, I can fully see why a lot of people have given this only like a 2 star out of 5 on Letterboxd. I'm a little bit kinder, so I'm going to give it 3 out of 5. But ultimately, yeah, this is far weaker than the first film in this box set, which was The Silent Star. So yeah, which I gave 4 out of 5. So a significant drop in quality between the films, to be honest, and that is despite the fact that they've obviously done some work on this with the 6K scan of the original 70mm camera negative, which has then been restored in 4K. But that said, I did find the picture quality not to be all that great. There's sometimes when there's lines going across the screen. There was a big black mark in the top right corner for quite some portion of the film as well. There was also a hair on it at another point. And at times the colour didn't seem to be matching what was actually on the screen. It seemed to go green at times. But on top of all of that, and far worse as far as I'm concerned, is the fact that the 5.1 audio that is on this wasn't complete at all. It just felt like there was two people in the room at a time, and one of them would be perfectly clear, and then another one would just be really quiet. And then they come towards the camera, and then they get louder again, and then they do a dip out. And that's not a problem when they're on the screen themselves, but when I'm given that a lot of the script and the character interactions of this are held over radio and such, it makes it hard to know who's talking and who's saying what, because the audio is just so quiet, and whacking it up just means that you're going to get deafened when as soon as another character or a piece of score or anything like that comes in. So yeah, not entirely sure what's gone wrong with the audio on that version. So I eventually, about 50 odd minutes in, switched to the mono audio track, and that worked perfectly fine. So not sure if it's my speakers or my hearing or anything like that, but yeah, it was just really, really weird. And considering there was no audio issues at all with the Silent Star, I can only think that something has gone wrong with when it comes to doing this film itself. So yeah, that's a great shame, to be honest. But it's even more underwhelming in that they've done all of the work in terms of the 6K scan, restoring it in 4K, and then they still haven't gotten rid of a lot of imperfections that are on the film. So yeah, but on the whole, outside of the imperfections, it does look really rather good. especially when it comes to the miniatures and the sets. But yeah, it's just not forgivable, that audio, quite frankly. In terms of extras, we've got a new audio commentary by Roland Mann and presented by David Melville Wingrove, as well as the original theatrical trailer. Um, but yeah, nowhere near as many extras as yeah, there were for the previous film. But ultimately, it is in a 1080p HD presentation from a restoration by the DEFA Foundation. But yeah, considering all of what's been talked about by this film, with all its restoration work, I was expecting a great deal more, but I certainly wasn't expecting the sound to be as awful as it was. So, yeah, I'd like to hear from other people if they are having the same issues with the 5.1 audio restoration. The mono audio track, like I said, was fine. There was no issues with that at all. It didn't even really seem to be peaking or anything like that. So, yeah, if you do find that there's issues with the newer audio, then immediately switch to the mono and you won't have any issues at all. So, yeah, but on the whole, a decent effort, but hopefully the other two films in this set are a lot better than this one, because on the whole, I was disappointed. Nonetheless, so thank you for watching, and yeah, if you have seen this film before, I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.